Hello, we are the Idaho School Sentinels.
Idaho School Sentinels.
Yep.
Two of us. That's great.
I'm Sonia Harris, and I serve on the Blackfoot School Board. I also have 10 years of teaching experience and 4 children.
My name is Linda Beauvais, and I am a retired educator, and I've been a librarian and an English teacher, and right now I'm a grandmother.
So we're here today to talk about pornography in schools and how to keep it out.
We definitely want it out. Gone.
So we're not really talking about pictures. We're talking about literature, right?
Pornographic literature will not be in the schools. We will work against it.
Yes. And the law in Idaho says that local school boards get to choose the curriculum. This is Idaho Code 118A, if you want to look that up. My own experience is that while serving on the school board recently, I was part of a curriculum committee, and during one of the meetings for our committee, a woman came in who was a salesperson for a curriculum company, and she made a mention of a list of suggested novels for novel study. So what's a novel study?
Well, a novel study is when the teacher and the students work together in class and they read the novel and learn about the theme of the novel and the messages from the novel. It's a wonderful way to study fiction work.
Okay, so it's a regular thing. Most districts would have that.
Yes,
they already do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when I got the list of the suggested novels from this curriculum company, 7 of them were pornographic.
I'm sorry, you said 7?
Yeah. And you know, some people might think, well, pornographic to one person might be, you know, maybe they're just a little off color.
And
right?
were they off color?
Well, you read the excerpts. What did you think?
I did read the excerpts, and I'm embarrassed to say that it was pornographic plus 10.
Yeah, it was terrible stuff. So apparently this publishing company feels like those novels are perfectly appropriate for high school students. In fact, they have lesson plans that go with some of the novels. Some of the novels are actually referenced in the textbook. In other words, the textbook will have maybe a chapter or a portion of that novel right in the textbook. I'm not saying the offensive material is in the textbook, but part of that novel is, and then the kid might say, well, I'm going to go home and finish reading the rest of it.
A parent would not be happy about that.
I don't think so. 2 of the books that were on this list that I got from the curriculum company are actually considered exemplar texts by the Common Core. So Common Core is a set of standards, and in Idaho we call it Idaho standards, but they're 99% identical. If you look at them side by side, identical to the Common Core. And the Common Core has an Appendix B, which is also referred to in the Idaho Core. And this Appendix B has 2 books on it that are pornographic. And I'll tell you the names of the books. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison is one.
Toni Morrison well, that's, you know, for more adults, not for students.
Okay. And Dreaming in Cuban by Christina Garcia is the second one.
And I read an excerpt from that. I was stunned beyond belief. Not good.
Yeah, it's embarrassing kind of stuff that you certainly...
I'm trying to forget it as we speak.
Yeah, so, you know, it makes you wonder, well, are there not enough good books out there?
Oh my goodness, there's so many wonderful books.
Yeah. So the Appendix B, it has a lot of books, but really, you know, it's not like hundreds or anything. So somebody had to pick those out.
I wonder who did. Well, who picked them out? I'd like to know.
Well, so would I. And then the thing is, who gets to vote against those people who decided it? Who gets to elect those people to be on the decision-making committee for the Common Core exemplar text book, or book list? You see what I mean?
Who would it be?
Yeah. So
people who make money from it.
I guess, because
the company.
I've never been asked to vote for someone to be on that committee. So no curriculum company would design the textbooks around just what Idaho wants. That's the truth of it. So we're getting things that, first of all, from a company that represents New York, Texas, California, and maybe the people there feel okay about this. I don't know, but the truth is we don't have a recourse as Idahoans. We don't have any control over what's coming, but we feel, as school board members, we feel pressure to use companies that are aligned to the core. So they promise us, we can help your students do better on the SBAC test, which in Idaho is renamed as the Idaho Standard Achievement Test 2.0, ISAT 2.0, but it's the same company. So the curriculum company then, we feel pressured. We've got to use those companies who are most closely aligned to the core, and then those companies are the ones that are in question here about what do they think is really good for students, and then how do you know what's in the textbook? If they think that's okay to suggest as a novel study, what would be in the textbook?
That's a good question. What would be?
Yeah. You know, just kind of makes you wonder about that. And then you have to wonder about the tests.
Now, who monitors to make sure that offensive things are not on those tests? That's my question.
And once again, I don't know. I mean, the teachers never see the test.
Pardon me?
Yeah, the teachers
well,
never...
the teachers administer the test. Of course they...
No.
Of course. I always saw the test. I was a
Sure,
teacher.
sure.
I saw the test.
Back when you were a teacher, tests were different, I suppose. But now, teachers have to sign a release before they give the test saying, if I happen to hear something about this test or see something, I will not disclose that. So it's copyrighted, proprietary information, whatever's on that test, which would then make a parent wonder, well, if that curriculum company, or if the writers of the Common Core feel like this material that is inappropriate is okay, then what are they going to put on the test? Would there be an excerpt from these particular novels on the test?
That would be shocking.
Yeah.
But we have no way of knowing? You're saying we have no way of knowing.
No accountability, no way of knowing.
No accountability.
Right.
This is not good.
So I'm not saying it is or is not part of the test. We hope it's not. I'm just saying the reality is it could be. And we know that kids can go online. They can go online, they can get any kind of literature they want, and they might be reading inappropriate novels already.
Well, Sonia, that's between the student and the student's parents. But when the student is part of our public education system, then we can't have that sort of thing. We have to worry about taking care of their little minds. They're so malleable.
Yeah.
And in the public education, we are in charge of making sure that their little minds get the kind of information that they need to be good adults.
Good point. And when you say little minds, it makes me think of, well, what about the elementary students?
Yeah, what about the elementary students? What's happening with those? Surely there's not anything objectionable for those young children. We wouldn't have to, Sonia, we wouldn't have to worry about that.
You would hope not. You would hope not. So actually the same company that gave me the list of textbooks for novel studies, not textbooks, but novel study books, they also sent me an email that said, if you're a teacher, here are some suggested books that we think you should let the parents know they should provide for their students to read at home. And so this was a list for all elementary students, but the list that was particularly for 6th through 8th graders, it had 2 books about 12-year-old same-sex attraction.
Wait, 12-year-olds don't have any sex attraction. They're too young for that. That's for much later. Who thought about that?
Yeah.
That's wrong. Yeah. That's absolutely wrong.
Just to suggest that.
Yeah.
So there's another book about a secret cross-dresser.
Well, my goodness.
Yeah.
What's happening in this time? I'm just shocked.
Maybe there aren't enough quality books written
Oh,
for
no.
that age group.
Oh no, there's so many wonderful books. You know, the boys could read Hatchet by Gary Paulson.
Oh, great.
It's a
Yeah,
wonderful
great book. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
About courage.
about
Really
courage,
about courage,
and
yeah.
survival.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
in the modern day world, they need to know how to have courage.
Sure.
They don't need to know about sexual innuendos here and sexual innuendos there. Oh my goodness, no. Let's
Right.
not do that in the public schools.
Right. So another book on the list for the 6th through 8th graders was a book about a boy who hates his mom's strict religion.
No. We don't have hate. In the public schools, we have kindness and understanding. We don't need to deal with hate.
Well, and-
especially not with parents.
Right.
Parents.
And you know, why would we bring up the idea that you would be opposed to your parents' religion in 6th through 8th grade? That seems like, why get into that?
Why get into that?
Finally, there was a book on the list that had repeated use of the F word. So
I never let my
what-
students use that word.
Right.
Or
Right.
any bad words. I would not allow it. There's no room in any polite society for that. Wouldn't you agree? Polite society does not use
I agree.
those kind of words.
I agree. Why
Yeah.
why suggest that kids read that? So
Oh, my
so what it comes down to is, how can we trust curriculum companies who feel like this stuff is appropriate for our students, right?
Doesn't look like we can. What's
Yeah.
the alternative?
Yeah, well, it's only one company that I am referencing, but I have reason to believe that there are other companies that also have these kinds of issues. They just haven't been able to provide me with their suggested novel lists. I've asked for them, but I haven't received them yet, so I'm not quite sure where that will go. But if you are a school board member in Idaho, a parent, or just a concerned citizen,
Or a grandma like me.
right, there are things you can do. So check your district policies, and these should be online, and it will mention in there how curriculum is adopted in your district, so you're aware of that. Most districts the law in Idaho is for the districts to include in the adoption committee 1/4 of the members of that committee from the public. So they can't be teachers, they can't be school board members. So that gives some input from parents for that. This is part of Idaho Code 33-512A, if you want to look it up.
Idaho Code 32-512A. You can look that up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the public has the right to inspect all of the books that are used in a school. So in my district, for instance, I live in Blackfoot, we have the textbooks available at the district office at all times. So parents can go in, take a half hour on their lunch break. They can say, I want to know what they're teaching in my kids' science class. They can look at the textbook and the teacher's manual, and they can know that information. Also, if you want to know what novels are being used in your district, you can ask someone at the district office, is there a list of novels that are going to be used this year or that are usually used for novel study? And they can give you that list, or they can direct you to where you can get that information. If you want to read more about the topic we've discussed here today, the novels that are found in some Idaho schools that are offensive, and in particular those two that are on the Common Core exemplar text list, the Appendix B list, you can go to a website, idahoansforlocaleducation.com/resources, and there's a list, and you can read more about that. Also, if you're concerned, you could email your state representatives and senators and let them know how you're feeling. They're the people that help make the laws concerning Common Core in our state, and they need to know your opinion.
Sonia, I've told you, and I'm going to tell you, the audience, that I'm going to be on the curriculum committee. I'm trying to be on that curriculum committee because as a grandma, I have plenty of time. I can go over there and I can see what's there and the textbooks that are there and make recommendations. That would be a good thing for me to do.
Yes, and it would be very much appreciated. So once again, we are the Idaho
School Sentinels. Bye for now. See you.